Welcome to the Technical Writing Success Podcast from Kurt Robbins, where we help you get smarter than your competition. This is episode 179. I'm Fred Jones.
And I'm Daphne Blake.
It is great to be back. We've got quite a topic to unpack today.
We really do.
It feels like we're looking at a pretty fundamental change in how people, actually get work done.
Absolutely. And to kick things off, let me just ask you and everyone listening a question.
Okay.
Is the traditional 9 to 5 schedule officially dead?
That is a big question. I mean, people have been predicting its death for years, right?
For a long time.
We've heard about the 4-day work week, the gig economy. It feels like we're always burying the 9 to 5, but it just keeps climbing out of the grave.
It does have a way of sticking around.
Yeah.
But, as we head further into 2026, the data is suggesting something. Something different is happening. Workers are actively resisting those old constraints. They're moving toward this new trend called microshifting.
Microshifting. Okay, I have to be honest, it sounds a little bit technical.
It does.
Like something you do with the bicycle gear. But from what I've been reading in our sources for today, it's much more human than that.
Exactly. And to get a clear picture, let's look at an article called Microshifting is the Hot New Workplace Trend.
Correct.
It's by Rachel Kleinman. It was published on LinkedIn and CNBC just a few days ago on January 20th.
Right, and Kleinman's piece cites a really solid definition from Owl Labs. They define it as, and I'm quoting here, structured flexibility with short, nonlinear work blocks matched to energy, duties, or productivity.
That nonlinear part is really the key.
It is, but let's pause on that.
Right.
Because nonlinear sounds, to me at least, a little chaotic.
I can see that.
If I'm a manager, I'm picturing a total free-for-all where I can't find anyone when I need them.
Yeah.
Is this just a fancy term for working whenever I feel like it?
That's the fear, for sure. But think of it less like chaos and more like deconstructing a day.
Right.
The traditional day is the solid block 9 to 5. Microshifting is taking that block apart. You might do a chunk of work from 7 to 9 a.m., then you stop. You handle life, then you do another block from 1 to 3 p.m., maybe a final sprint later that night.
So you're shattering the block. You're not just sliding it around.
Precisely. And the argument is that this sort of shattered schedule is actually more logical. It really comes down to energy versus time.
Logical how? Because managing that sounds like a bit of a nightmare.
Well, I was reading a piece by Sarah Jackson for CNBC Make It. It just came out yesterday. The title is 65% of workers are interested in microshifting their schedules.
65%. Wow. That seems incredibly high.
It is, and that figure comes from the Owl Labs 2025 State of Hybrid Work Report, so it's not a niche group.
Okay, so that number is hard to ignore. You can't just dismiss it.
Yeah.
But is it just about convenience?
Well, that's where it gets interesting. It seems to be based more on biology than just, preference.
Biology.
Yeah. I was really struck by a LinkedIn post from Alafia Gul from earlier this week. Gul argues we should design workdays around our natural human energy rhythms.
I saw that one. Goal gives a specific breakdown that I think, a lot of us can probably relate to. You use your mornings for high-focus work. Afternoons are for collaboration, meetings, and then evenings are for reflection.
It just makes sense, doesn't it? You're not forcing your brain to do heavy lifting when it's tired.
Exactly.
And there is a great comment on a post by Johnny Gifford from Jessica Cooper, a PhD. She brought in some of the neuroscience.
Oh, that's interesting.
She pointed out that microshifting actually matches the brain's natural rhythm of working in bursts.
Bursts, so like intensity and then rest.
Exactly. She said it preserves cognitive energy. It lets different neural networks rest while others are active.
So if I try to force myself to do deep focused work at 3 p.m. when I'm in a slump, I'm just spinning my wheels.
Worse.
No.
You're burning through fuel inefficiently.
Yeah.
And your output becomes, not great. You're there, you're working, but you're not producing anything of value.
That reminds me of a quote from Alafia Gul's post that I wrote down. Gul said, "The question is no longer how many hours did you work, but how effectively did you use your energy?"
Yes. That shift from hours to energy, that feels like the real core of this.
It does, but, the catch is that measuring impact is hard. Measuring hours is easy. I feel like that's why the 9 to 5 survives. It's just lazy management.
That is the billion-dollar friction point, isn't it? But before we get into the management debate, because there is one.
Let's take a brief break for a special message from our producer, Kurt Robbins.
Hi, this is Kurt Robbins. First, thanks for listening. I truly appreciate your support. I want to let you know that I'm currently accepting new clients. My rates are affordable, and I have more than 25 years of experience working for enterprise companies like Microsoft, Northrop Grumman, Oracle, PNC Bank, FedEx, USAA, and Wells Fargo, among many others. If you want to improve your IT documentation and communications, hire me. I deliver fast, know how to use AI to improve efficiency and accuracy, and love going the extra mile to satisfy my clients. Thank you for subscribing and listening. Back to you, Daphne and Fred.
Welcome back to the Technical Writing Success Podcast.
So before the break, we were talking about the what and the why of microshifting.
Right, the biology behind it.
But I want to talk about the human impact. Why is this exploding now in 2026? We've had biological rhythms forever.
That's a great point. What's the catalyst?
It seems to be about agency, about control. The reporting from Rachel Kleinman and Sarah Jackson quoted the Owl Labs CEO, Frank Weishaupt. He said, employees are improvising solutions to reconcile the demands of their jobs with the realities of their lives.
Improvising solutions. That sounds less like a corporate strategy and more like people just trying to stay afloat.
Exactly. Weishaupt frames it as a way for people to reclaim control over their increasingly fragmented work lives.
Fragmented is the perfect word for it, and we can see that in the demographics, right?
We can?
The reporting notes that parents and caregivers are 3 times more likely to try microshifting.
3 times. That's a huge margin.
It really is.
And it makes perfect sense. If you have a school run at 3 p.m., the old 9 to 5 model is basically impossible.
There was a story in Sarah Jackson's article that really drove this home for me.
Oh, yeah.
She spoke with Teresa Robertson from Elkridge, Maryland. And Robertson was just blunt about it. She said microshifting is the only way she can have a life and produce an income.
Wow. For her, it isn't a productivity hack. It's a survival strategy.
Right. It's the difference between staying in the workforce or having to drop out entirely.
Absolutely. And it's not just about logistics. I found a great perspective from Connie Zhang at the University of Adelaide mentioned in the Sydney Morning Herald yesterday.
What was her take?
She focused on well-being. She said it's about making small, intentional adjustments to support your health, not just to squeeze in an appointment.
Intentional is the key word. Because I can see a version of this that goes really wrong.
How so?
Where you're just working all the time in little scraps and you never actually disconnect.
That's the always-on trap. You have to be disciplined about the off-blocks, or you're not microshifting, you're just overworking.
Okay, so we have workers saying this saves their sanity. We have neuroscientists saying it matches our brain chemistry. But surely not everyone is on board with this.
You would be right. Which brings us to the big debate. Is this the future or just another management fad?
I was reading a post by Johnny Gissert about a Fortune article from last week. He seems to think this is the real deal. He called it counterintuitive and a superpower in disguise.
I love that phrase, extreme but subtle.
Me too. He compared it to past buzzwords like nudging or sprints, but he insists it works. He had this one line that really stood out.
What was it?
The business needs to work for you. You shouldn't work for the business.
That really flips the script, doesn't it? The structure should serve the human, not the other way around.
Which sounds great, but I did see some pushback. There was a comment on Gifford's post from Mike Morrison.
Oh, yes, I saw that.
And he threw a bit of cold water on the whole thing.
What was his main concern?
He warned that, despite all this talk, many managers are just reverting to an attendance culture.
Their return to office mandates.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. He was also pretty critical of the term itself. He called it a shiny new thing that HR loves, masking a lack of real creativity.
That's a valid critique. We do love our buzzwords, don't we?
We do. And his point about attendance culture is a reality check. You can't microshift if your boss just wants to see you in your chair from 9 to 5.
But looking at that 65% interest rate, it's hard to just dismiss this as jargon. The friction between the 9 to 5 and modern life is real.
It is. So whether we call it microshifting or just working smarter, it seems like a major shift is happening.
I think Althea Gill put it best. Companies that embrace this can expect higher engagement and retention. It's not about abandoning structure. It's about creating smarter structures.
It all comes down to trust, doesn't it?
It does. Trusting that the output matters more than the timestamp.
Thank you for listening to the Technical Writing Success Podcast from Kurt Robbins, where we help you get smarter than your competition.
Remember to like, subscribe, comment, and share. We'll see you next time.